This is the Water Quality Association podcast.
The financial headwinds are so shocking to me that we have to think innovatively. We have to reimagine water because there isn't any magic, money tree that's going to get us out of this hole.
That's WQA and WQRF CEO Pauli Undesser discussing her recent TEDx Folsom talk on the topic of water quality. And welcome to the podcast from the Water Quality Association, the leading voice of the residential, commercial, and industrial water treatment community. I'm Wes Bleed. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a show. And be sure to watch the podcast on YouTube. In this episode of the WQA podcast, we'll hear from Pauli Undesser as she describes her experience as a TEDx Folsom speaker, her topic of smart water versus dumb water, and why collaboration across the entire water industry is more important than ever. We also talk about what's next for WQA following the WQA Mid-Year Leadership Conference. If you've ever wondered what it takes to get the world thinking differently about water, well, this is the show. Plus, we'll have our WQA tip. It's all coming up on the Water Quality Association podcast. WQA and WQRF CEO Pauli Undesser joins us now on the podcast, and we're going to talk about her recent TEDx Folsom talk about the water treatment industry. Pauli, for those of you who don't know, and maybe as a reminder for those who do know her, she's been the CEO of WQA and WQRF since 2017 and has overseen tremendous growth in the organization, both in terms of membership as well as product certification clients. She is a past recipient of the Inspiring Leader Award from the Association Forum. And we welcome, Pauli, we welcome you to the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Wes.
Great to have you and to talk about this TEDx talk. I know TEDx, doing that kind of a presentation has been something that you've long aspired to. I remember you talking about it maybe even a few years ago, that was a goal of yours. Because you have done so much on the platform in terms of speaking, certainly at convention. But this was something else out there that's a little different situation. And for those of you who have seen TEDx and TED Talks, you know kind of that inspirational leaders setting that is created by those and how moving and motivating they are in many cases. And so I can certainly understand that you had long wanted to do that. And so it's exciting that you had that opportunity. Why don't you step back and give us the background of how this all came about, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, so you mentioned it's been several years. So 2019 was the time that I went to my first TEDx, and it was locally to where WQA is at. And I was hooked when I first saw TEDx speakers on the stage, and they were inspiring and sharing their messages. And I got this big foam X for TEDx, and I have it in my office. And so it was kind of this reminder of something I put on my bucket list of I wanted to be on that stage someday. So here I am, 5 to 6 years later, where I trained as a speaker specifically for doing a TED-style talk, which is different than the technical talks that I'm used to, right? As a scientist, where you think of all the questions that you want to answer, and then you answer them before they're asked. A TED-style talk is you want it to be conversational, and you want to set up something that's so provocative that people want to ask the questions later and come to you to ask those questions, and then you answer the questions later. Completely different. It's like spinning yourself upside down as a speaker, especially a technical speaker. So it was exciting. It was pushing myself as a presenter and as a speaker, and I was completely excited to do it as a new challenge. And it's exciting to see it come to life and be here on a TEDx stage and seeing it in a video format now.
And so then let's move up to the fact that it happened. When did it occur? Where did it occur? And just what were the circumstances?
It occurred live in Folsom, California, and that was on August 16th. And I was selected out of, I think it was 230 applicants. So usually for TEDx, only about 5% of the applicants make it through. For TED speakers, it usually is about 1%. So it's really a tough competition to be able to get through and have these speaking spots. So I was happy to be able to get through and be able to have a position on the stage, and to be able to do it in a town like Folsom, California, which has an amazing lake that is there. So a big body of water that has a dam that actually provides power for a large area. And so it energizes areas by water. And so for me to reimagine water in a place that energizes areas by water, it just, to me, energized the presentation as well. So I was super excited to do that in Folsom through a TED Talk, because it just kind of brought everything together.
That's great. And also, we wanted to talk about the setting, and you mentioned that, but who was the audience? Who was there to listen to you?
Yeah, the audience is mainly local. So those that are from Folsom, California, which is a suburb of Sacramento. We had several hundred individuals that were there. And so they come from all over, and they consider folks that are in the audience are Sherlock Holmes smart. So they're individuals that are curious about things all over the scope of education. So it's not just folks that are interested in water, but we had topics about AI, fashion circularity, vibrational education. And so there were 16 total speakers, and there were topics that were very intriguing, and we learned a lot. I actually liked looking at the speakers, not only for how they brought the presentations forward, but then I even looked at them from the water perspective afterwards. And at WQA's MYLC last week, from our hot topics, I brought some of the topics forward from the perspective of the speakers, but then also from the water perspective. And it was interesting to look at them from both ways.
So to go back again to the logistics and so forth, you prepared for this how? What did you do? How did you come up with just what it was that you wanted to say, and then how that you wanted to say it?
So the preparation of how to do the presentation, I did training last year through a TEDx moderator. And so some of the stylistic pieces, I did actual coaching, and I had a cohort over a week that I did some really intensive training through that. But also through this process, TEDx Folsom had 10 different coaches that were at our disposal, 4 of them specifically that we met every week over about a 2 to 3 month period. And we had coaching through them that we worked on our presentations over that time. And so it was intense to be able to go through this process and really sharpen and refine, because you really have to get dialed into that message. So I had a pitch that was accepted, but that pitch was certainly dialed in as our final barrier pitch, which we've had that for WQA for decades, right? We've talked about final barrier and the 1% that our industry focuses on, but to convert that into dumb water versus smart water and have that more as a consumer-focused message was what we focused on over the last 2 to 3 months. And how is that something that's so provocative and bring it home into stories and something that's relatable? And get that done in less than 15 minutes. That was the challenge that we worked on over 2 to 3 months.
So you mentioned the presentation occurred live on stage. Obviously, the live audience is there, and that gives you the energy and so forth. But now it's videotaped, and is it available now? Are we able to see it?
It is live today, so it's super exciting. They don't tell us or give us a heads up when it exactly goes live, so it could have been weeks to months. I'm excited to know that it is live. We can access it, and we're looking forward to everybody viewing it, hopefully liking it, commenting on it, giving feedback on it, but also sharing it out there with others so that it's not just the water industry that's looking at it, but we're really looking forward to the message getting outside of the water industry as well.
And I'd like to maybe play a segment of it if we can fit it in here during the conversation. But what would you like to highlight? What would you say was a segment or a portion of the talk that was kind of the signature piece of your message?
The signature piece is the end portion where it really goes into the call to action, where it talks about the fight for water and that water is everyone's fight.
And I know everyone says, gosh, I have so much on my plate. How do I add one more thing? Change is not easy. But the big thing is, change is already here. Change is in the people. 28 of 50 states already allow smart water solutions for regulatory compliance. 43 million that are on private wells, like myself, already have smart water solutions that are our only option for having water treatment in our homes. If you are camping, you're a hiker, or you're off-roader, and you're using water treatment, you're already in the fight for water. If you have a water treatment device in your home today, you're already in the fight for water. The fight has already begun. What we need to do is amplify the fight for water.
And that there are people who are already in the fight. So those like myself who are on a private well, we are the folks who we don't have central water. So we only have point of use, point of entry that makes us in the fight for water. But the call to action is for folks to really get to know your water and have a connection with your water. And you can do that, one, by looking at your annual water report, right? Understand what's the water quality that the water supplier is providing to you. 2, you need to test your water. And that's because it goes through miles coming from your water supplier. Or if you're on a private well like myself, you need to know it's coming from the ground. And then if you find that there's an issue from the test water report, then you can go on to step 3, which is consult and treat if you need to. So those are the 3 call to actions that come from it. And so after that, it really is, you can be in the fight for water. And so know your water and know your future are the final pieces to it. So I would love that to be part of the video that is shown.
And obviously that was the key part, but what were some of the other points that you tried to help people understand about water? You mentioned smart water and dumb water as an example. What did you have to say there?
When it comes to smart water and dumb water, I think the big piece about dumb water, there are many people that I think the eye-opening piece is they don't realize that as they're flushing a toilet or they're watering their lawn, they're using drinking water to do those things. And that was an eye-opener that most people don't realize that that's actually drinking quality water that they're using. And that as we continue to have more and more regulated contaminants, that water is becoming pure drinking water that we're flushing our toilets and watering our lawns with. And so my question is how dumb is the water going to get as we continue to have more and more regulations? So that's one piece of it, right? It's just how dumb are we going to make this water? The other piece that is a big part of this is Banner Public Affairs certainly has put out some great work on the financials and the financial headwinds of water suppliers. And it is just shocking how much, one, that we are at a deficit right now for what water suppliers need to upgrade infrastructure and to keep up with regulations today. EPA suggests and estimates that we actually need 2/3 more funding today to keep up with infrastructure and regulations than we currently have funding for. But then this time next year, we're projected to have a financial cliff that's going to reduce us another 2/3. So it's just the financial headwinds are so shocking to me that we have to think innovatively. We have to reimagine water because there isn't any magic, money tree that's going to get us out of this hole. And so to me, we're at that point that we need to do something different and we need to reimagine water. And so I propose one way, and my call to action for other water segment associations out there is I'd love to hear their ideas. I propose one, Water Reuse Association. They certainly have ideas. Recycling associations have ideas. NGWA has ideas. We all need to be in this together.
Well, it's going to be great to watch and see the entire presentation. I can't wait for that, and encourage all of our members to do that as well. And again, it probably could very well be a fantastic communication and marketing piece for WQA, which again serves as a great resource for water quality questions for the regulators, legislators, those consumers who are concerned about their water. And we hope, in fact, I say we hope, but we know that more and more consumers are concerned and getting interested in water. As you say, just really understanding and knowing water is half the battle.
If I said what would be wild success for this, there are two pieces to it. One, I would love that there would be a consumer side of this where consumers would start talking about dumb water and smart water. I would love for them to have that in just their vernacular, and they talk about it in those terms. We get away from, is it good water, is it bad water, but it's dumb and it's smart, and that they talk about water, right? And that they're curious about it and they're connected to it. The other piece is this collaboration on the water segment side, and that we find this commonality that we all don't have to work in our silos, but that we can work towards a common goal, and that we need to work towards a common goal.
And just a real quick, you mentioned the Mid-Year Leadership Conference, and not to have you go back over the entire conference, but just any thoughts you had there in terms of where we are as a membership, as an association, how things went, and where things are as we head into the fourth quarter of 2025.
It was an amazing week, and I keep hearing the buzz from some folks saying it was the best ever event that we had as far as content, engagement, the takeaways that people got from the content and the interaction, the networking, and some of the relevant information that was brought forward. So a few of the things that we talked about was, generational differences. So talking about Gen-telligence or Gen Z versus how do you engage across generations. We brought forward some information about the new Road to Housing Act, which is something that we're working with the Realtors Association on how housing is ramping up through legislation. And then I mentioned that I brought forward some interesting information through some of the TEDx talks through TEDx Folsom, and some of those are related to data centers because of AI and the water demand of data centers and how that may be impacting water quality in the areas that we're serving customers. And so There's a lot of information that was passed along at mid-year that's very relevant and very timely. And so great information. So if people aren't feeling a bit of FOMO from it, they probably will after hearing this podcast.
Pauli Undesser, the CEO of WQA and the Water Quality Research Foundation, joining us on the podcast. Thanks, Pauli. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Wes.
And again, Pauli's entire presentation can be seen by going to the TEDx Folsom YouTube channel and then typing in Pauli Undesser. We'll also have a link in the show notes. And now our WQA tip. Did you know that 58% of households in the United States say they are concerned about their tap water safety? It's one of many things you'll learn from the WQA Consumer Insights Report. If you build, sell, service, or influence water treatment, you'll want to put these insights to work. Download the report for WQA members or the public version at insights.wqa.org. Thanks for joining us for the Water Quality Association podcast. Learn more about water and water filtration at our consumer website, betterwatertoday.org. And learn more about professional certification, the Gold Seal Product Certification Program, and how you can become a member at WQA.org.